Hi everyone, this is Migs from Sneaks and Ball PH, and here we have the performance review on the Nike LeBron 17. So before we get started with the review, I'd just like to say that I hope everyone is doing okay, and I hope that everyone is doing their part by staying safe and staying at home. Another thing I'd like to talk to you guys about is that I'm gonna make some slight modifications to the rating system for the performance reviews. Instead of using what I used to do, which is a scale from 0 to 5 stars, I will start using a grading system with letters. So that would be from as low as an F, finger crossed, I don't wish any shoe to have an F grade in anything, up to a possible A+. The reason why is because whenever, for example, you'd have shoes with 5-star traction, you can't really differentiate between the shoes that are really good and the shoes that are really great. So with this, hopefully, if something has an A grade, that means it's really good, just not quite A+, which is really great. So with that, let's get on with the review. So starting off with the traction, the LeBron 17 has a pretty simple outsole design. It's just made up of cross-hatched wavy lines that run from the forefoot all the way to the heel. The only places without traction are these sections, which are split to give you more flexibility when you move. Traction on the LeBron 17 is actually very good, especially on clean courts. On clean courts, you could do all of your moves, your step backs, your Euro steps, and also your crossovers. When the dust buildup is significant, you won't really slide out or you won't be in any danger. However, the slop isn't as fast, so you might feel a little bit of lag whenever you're moving. So for the traction on dusty courts, you just have to keep them clean every so often and you'll be good to go. Then for the durability of the outsole, the lines here on the traction pattern are a bit on the softer side. However, the grooves are pretty deep. Since the grooves are pretty deep, I think that these will last you a pretty long time, especially if you're just playing indoors. If you're gonna play on these outdoors, I think they would last you quite a while, but just don't expect it to last as long as other shoes that are meant for outdoor use. So for the traction, I think the LeBron 17 deserves an A. This is because the traction is very good, especially on clean courts. The traction is also very durable, you can use them indoors, as well as quite a bit outdoors. The only reason the LeBron 17's traction does not get an A+, is because it is still mildly affected by dust. This isn't much of an issue, all you have to do is wipe it every so often, and you'll be good to go. Then moving on to the cushion of the LeBron 17, LeBrons have always been known to have really insane cushion setups. And I think the LeBron 17 is no different. The LeBron 17 is a highly cushioned shoe with 2 zoom pods in the forefoot and an Air Max 270 unit in the heel. We have seen the Air Max 270 unit before in the lifestyle models, and these had very soft Air Max units, which did compress quite a bit when you were walking around. This led to some worries about the Air Max in the LeBron 17 being a bit unstable. However, what Nike did was they increased the pressure inside the air unit to 25 psi. What this does is that it limits the amount of compression of the air unit, which makes it a little bit more stable while still giving you so much impact protection. The LeBron 17 also has 2 zoom pods in the forefoot, and these are really nice, bouncy, and responsive. However, they aren't as bouncy as in the LeBron 16, just because they are a little bit smaller. The 2 separated zoom pods in the forefoot are the reason why the LeBron 17s are much easier to maneuver in than previous LeBrons. This zoom pod setup has been seen before in shoes such as the LeBron 14, 13, and 12. In rounding out the midsole, you do have a lot of phylon surrounding the shoe. You have phylon here on the toe for a more responsive feeling when you're doing toe-offs. You also have it above the zoom units, and you also have phylon injected into the middle of the Air Max 270 unit. The injected phylon in the Air Max 270 unit is actually what makes it a lot more comfortable compared to other Air Max units. So for the cushion setup on the LeBron 17, which provides a lot of impact protection, I'd give it a grade of A. The LeBron 17 absorbs a lot of impact, has a little bit of bounce in the forefoot, and is overall really comfortable. However, the only reason why it didn't get an A+ is that you don't get a lot of court feel, and if you're not used to a setup like this, or if you're not a bigger player, you might feel like it's a bit cumbersome or a little bit too much. Moving on to the support, this is another area where the LeBron line really puts a lot of focus on, and the LeBron 17 is no different. The LeBron 17 has a lot of support features, starting with the pretty flat base. The base is nice and flat, except for here in the forefoot where you kinda need that flexibility. You also have a pretty wide forefoot with an outrigger on the lateral side, and a little bit of midsole and outsole coming out on the medial side. And then you also have a little outrigger on the lateral side of the Air Max 270 unit. You also have two TPU heel counters, one internal and one external. Then the last support feature is actually the new material which they're calling knit posit, which I'll get to later. But it is very supportive, it doesn't stretch out a lot, and it gives it a lot of structure. So whenever you're moving side to side, all of these things go hand in hand. You feel very laterally stable on all of your movements, and your foot doesn't go in and out of the footbed because of the very supportive materials as well as the two TPU heel counters. However, the only downside to the support of the LeBron 17 is probably the cushion itself. You do ride pretty high, especially here in the rear with the Air Max 270 unit. On most normal landings, you are pretty secure in the LeBron 17s. However, if you do happen to land on the edges of the Air Max 270 unit, it does feel pretty unstable. So overall for the support, I think the LeBron 17 is consistent with all of the other LeBrons, and for that we're giving it another A. It has a lot of support features from the pretty flat base, the slightly wide forefoot and outriggers. You also have your internal and external TPU heel counter, and your very supportive knit posit upper. However, the reason why it didn't get an A+ for support is because of the cushion setup. The cushion setup on the LeBron 17 is very comfortable, however it does raise you up quite a bit, and on awkward landings you might find yourself feeling a bit unstable on the Air Max 270 unit. Moving on to fit and lockdown, for the fit I feel like the LeBron fits pretty much true to size. I went with my usual size 10 and it fit me pretty well. I do feel however that the LeBron 17 fits a tad bit short. My toes were really right up on the edge in my usual size 10. However, the weird thing is it is a little bit wide. But aside from that, I didn't really have any other issues regarding the fit. Then for the lockdown, this is where it gets a little bit strange, if you will, because the lockdown is pretty good. However, the lacing structure is a bit weird. It is hard to lace these up tight, and the tongue itself is actually quite stiff. So I didn't really get the lockdown that I'm accustomed to, but it wasn't anything too bad. What ended up happening was that in the first few nights that I was playing in the LeBron 17, I would get a lot of blisters on my toes, which, you know, that sucks. But I did sort of get used to it, and it really helped that after a while it got a little bit softer and I was able to tighten the laces a bit more. Then I didn't experience any heel slippage, so as you can see, the heel of the shoe sort of curves up like this. So my heel really did feel locked in to the back of the shoe. So for fit and lockdown, I think I'd have to give the LeBron 17 a B+. It did fit pretty well and the lockdown was okay. However, I feel like its biggest downfall is that the tongue and the lacing structure was kind of weird. The tongue was pretty stiff and it did break in a little bit, but it never really broke in to the point that I would feel like I was really comfortable really lacing it up tight, giving me that lockdown feel. It also fit a little bit short and a little bit wide, so that's kind of weird. Moving on to the materials, most of the time the LeBron line is where Nike puts out its newest and best materials for basketball. So the materials that Nike is using for the LeBron 17 is called knit posit. Essentially, knit posit is a very thick fly knit that is heat pressed with some plastic, giving it a lot more structure. I don't feel like they did anything too revolutionary with this. However, it is very comfortable and it is also very supportive at the same time. However, the only downside to having a setup like this, wherein you have a full-on knit upper that's very thick, especially here in the Philippines, which is a very tropical country, is that this is freaking hot. It's freaking hot on your feet and you will feel it within your first couple of minutes, maybe half an hour of playing. And when I was talking about the blisters on my toes a while ago, it was partially because of the lockdown, since I wasn't really fully locked into the shoe. But it was also because the materials were just really hot. So yes, they're very comfortable, and if you're playing in an air-conditioned gym or you're living in a colder climate, I think this would be okay. But do take note that if not, you will get very toasty feet. Another knock on the materials is just how stiff the tongue is. So the tongue is made of this sort of synthetic material, and it is just really stiff. It takes forever to break in, and when you do break it in, it doesn't really get that much softer. So overall, as much as I would like to give the materials on the LeBron 17 an A+ or an A, I'd have to settle for a B+. The reason why it gets a B+ is, yes, it has very premium materials. The knit posit is something new from Nike. It gives a lot of support, even with a very soft and very premium thick fly knit. However, another downside, and this is really a downside for me because I don't really play in air-conditioned gyms, is it really gets very toasty on your feet because there isn't much ventilation at all. And you also have the tongue that is very stiff, and the tongue also doesn't even have any perforations in it for ventilation. Moving on to the aesthetics, I think that the LeBron 17 does get a pretty mixed bag of reactions from people. There are some people that really like it, some people that don't, and some people that are sort of in the middle. And I would consider myself somewhere in the middle as well, because for this Lakers colorway, it does look really good, especially in this lateral view. However, when you do look at the medial side of the LeBron, it just looks very weird. I don't know what it is, but there's something about the medial side look of the shoe that just doesn't work for me. Then you also have a lot of other details which I find pretty cool on this colorway. So I really like the yellow here on the knit posit, and then I also like that it is, you know, purple here on the Air Max 270 unit, because this is Lakers away colorway. However, this is also one of those shoes that I think a colorway can dictate whether it looks nice or it doesn't. So the original colorway that came out, the Oreo colorway, which is black and sort of gray, that one really did not look good in my opinion. So I'm glad they came out with these. Then for the other details of the shoe with regards to the aesthetics, there isn't a lot of Nike branding, which is sort of the way the LeBron shoes have been going, which I appreciate. You don't really want it all in your face all the time. So here you have a backwards Nike swoosh, which I think looks pretty good, and I like how it's white, so it complements everything very nicely. Then for the other details, they're all pretty much on the tongue. So at the base you have a purple LeBron crown logo, which is probably my third favorite LeBron logo. I'm not really sure why he has a lot of logos, but that's just how it is. And then you also have the 213 and 330 area codes here on the tongue. Then you also have the lion logo, or you know, the LeBron King lion logo thing on the top of the tongue. And this is actually my least favorite LeBron logo. It just looks a little bit too extra and a little bit much, and especially if you put it on a shoe, and then it really looks a bit out of place. However, in this shoe, the laces do cover up that logo, so you don't really see it that much, which I'm okay with. So overall, for the aesthetics, I think I'd give the LeBron 17 a B+. It's a B+ because it does look good, especially in some colorways. You can rock them off-court as well. I do sort of rock these off-court, and you know, it does look good on court, but it's just that I'm giving it a B+ because there are certain colorways that don't look good, especially with the knit posit design. There's some that really take advantage of the way the knit posit looks, and then there's others that just really drop the ball on that. Moving on to the price, the LeBron 17 is priced at 9,895 pesos or $180 US. That's a lot of money. Yes, it is a lot of money. And is it worth it? Well, in my opinion, it does have a lot of good features, and it does have a lot of premium materials. So in a way, yes, it is worth it. But you know, if you don't plan on spending that much for a pair of shoes anyway, there are a lot of much cheaper options, not just from Nike but also from other brands. Then you can get a pair over at any of the Nike retailers, or you can get them from Nike.com. You can also get them over at any Titan outlets. I personally got mine over at Titan in Vertis North, or you can order them through the Titan app or the Titan website. I'll make sure to leave the links in the description box if you want to get yourself a pair online. Overall, the LeBron 17 is a very solid shoe. It has good cushion, good traction, very premium materials. It has a slightly questionable fit and lockdown, and it is very hot, but aside from that, it's very good for playing basketball. It is also pretty comfortable for casual use, and it also has a pretty good aesthetic depending on the colorway you choose. So there you have it, that was my performance review on the Nike LeBron 17. I hope it made you make a wiser purchase decision when it comes to your basketball shoes. If you liked the video, please make sure to leave a thumbs up down below. And if you have any comments, suggestions, or any requests for any future videos, please make sure to leave them in the comment section below. Then if you haven't already yet, please make sure to subscribe and click that bell icon. It would help us out here a lot here at Sneaks and Ball PH.